arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling.
He crushed it.
I'm high on
It's a grand slam.
what you're in with me.
I'm telling you, it's time to party.
Lips as sweet as candy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to SoxHub episode 16, home of the 28-28 Boston Red Sox. I'm your host, Brandon McAlery, and alongside me is the one, the only, the zesty lefty slinger himself, Trotta Too Hottie. How you doing?
You know how it be, Mac. Living the dream, running at God's speed. Not really, though, man. God darn it. Vibes are low. How about yourself, buddy?
I was going to say, I was waiting for it. I was like, you seem more optimistic right now than I do.
Oh.
I mean, I feel great. I just got a haircut today, so like,
Yeah, you look great, buddy.
Kinda
Aerodynamic.
feeling nice about that and whatnot. So that was a nice little pick me up before we got our shit pushed in.
You look smooth.
Yeah. Same shit, different day. Big win for you today in a scrimmage with a suicide squeeze.
Yeah, the three-hitter dropped one down. That was pretty cool. Just getting prepped for playoffs, Scrappy little play in the top seventh to get one done. But, yeah, it was a fun time. Looking forward to high school playoff baseball. It's been a while.
That will be some fun. Let me tell you,
Indeed.
I miss high school playoff because it is always the most electric.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A little home game Friday at Tewksbury, playing a tech school. I forget the name of it. But, yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be a fun game.
Nice. Cool. Well, on related news to baseball, Angel Hernandez finally retired.
Oh, Lord have mercy. In the middle of the year, too, that's fantastic to see. He kind of, hopefully, finally now has a clue. He can go look back at the game film and see truly how bad he was, because I can't imagine he was doing that during the year.
Bro, I kid you not. There was so I know Joey from Baseball is Dead put out a video, and it's like a 40-minute clip of all of his fuck-ups as an umpire. Joe West came out and said, he's not as bad as you guys think. He was one of the best to do it. And there was another Twitter thread that was literally like 20 things long with about minute to 2 minute clips of every one of his fuck-up calls. And it just, you're like, how is this guy ever good? How is this guy ever an MLB umpire?
Yeah, I don't understand Joe West's take. I respect Joe West a lot and what he did for baseball and how he was as an umpire for the most part. But that's just wild. Angel Hernandez was not a good umpire, let alone one of the best to ever do it. Like, dude, we're also talking like he freaking batted cleanup for the New York Yankees for 10 straight seasons. Like, oh, he best guy to ever take the field, wear that uniform, man. God damn it. He gave it his heart. Dude, what are we doing? He was a fucking umpire. Let's all relax here. He sucked at his job, and somehow he kept doing it.
He stood behind it. Like, people think baseball is easy because they just jog around the bases and they stand still. But, like, I will say this. Professional umpires probably have it the easiest out of any other type of referees, umpires, anything like that. Because they literally just stand behind home plate or at first, second, or third.
Yeah, home plate, I can understand the stress and the difficulty there. But as a field ump and like when you get in the playoffs, those field umps that are in the outfield especially too, like...
Yeah, the 7 of them that we have.
Yeah, they all are like tasked one specific role or like looking at one specific thing or maybe 2 or 3, not like 17 different potential outcomes or focuses within one given player at bat, like a 2-man crew needs to do for like a high school or college game. It's very different.
It's not 12U baseball where one umpire doesn't show up and you got one guy calling the game from behind the plate and making out calls at second base on steals.
Or the classic, I'm just going to call it behind the pitcher's mound today. That all right? Yeah, do what you got to do, sir. All good.
Whatever works for you. But no,
Yeah.
honestly, I will say this. I I appreciate umps. Like whenever I coached, I made sure to learn their name and address them by their name as opposed to like, hey, Blue, things like that, because I do understand that their job is really hard. I mean, calling balls and strikes is a lot easier said than done. Making some of those bang bang calls a lot easier said than done. And it's very easy for us on the couch who's watching replay, watching it from a different angle than them, to say, like, you know, this guy was safer out. One of the coolest things I did see, and I think it was today or yesterday on Twitter, was there was a college baseball game and umps are now wearing body cams. And so there was a play at first base
Yep.
and you just see the body cam footage of him, like the play and then him banging the guy out. And I was like, that's pretty cool because now you're kind of seeing what they're seeing.
Live action, baby. Live action. That's pretty sick. I didn't even know that.
Especially in the field. Like in the field is cool because, like, don't get me wrong, I love the umpire view, especially when they show like Paul Skeens throwing 102-mile-an-hour fastball and stuff, and you're like, how the fuck does anybody hit this? But like in the field, it's a whole different ball game out there.
Different perspective that we didn't know we wanted in life, but apparently we need.
Amen. But no, honest to God, like I said, all the credit in the world to umpires, but there's a reason you're at the major league level because you should be the best at what you do. And Angel Hernandez was not that, even to the point where MLB intended to congratulate Angel Hernandez on a fantastic career via telephone, and he ended up missing the call.
That's classic. Very on brand.
I'm not gonna lie, I read that on Twitter and thought it was very funny.
I don't know if you were kidding or not, but I was not surprised if that was the case.
It was a complete joke. I just thought it was very, very funny.
That's good. That's good. But that's something he would obviously do, is completely miss that call. Wouldn't be his first time.
But yeah, so hats off to a fantastic career. Deserves all the credit in the entire world for everything that he's gave to the game of baseball. Honestly, some of his worst calls were against the Yankees. So honestly, I can only say great things about the guy.
Right.
Dude, stop yawning. It's only 10:30.
I'm sorry, man. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry.
Well, then, on another note, though, I sent you this tweet, but this tweet never really resonated with me until this year. But it was Bill James, the official Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
Fans of a 500 team overreact to every win and loss. A good team, can't win them all. A 100-loss team, you get used to it. A 500 team, emotionally, you're as good as the last 24 hours. And let me tell you, I read that and I was like, fuck, that's accurate.
That's beyond accurate, man. Especially with you and I feel like after every big win that we get in a series that kind of like ties it at a 1-1 like yesterday, not to jump ahead into our preview, but we were probably a little stoked after yesterday's win, especially what happened late in the game on our side defensively, on a positive note. And just after what happens today, we're probably a little extra lower on the morale scale than usual. And not only is it because we're tired, but we just lost another series to the Baltimore Orioles. And it doesn't really feel too good, not resonating too well.
No, and honestly, I've said it before, with especially in a 162 game season, you cannot live and die by every single game because it's such a long season. But man, let me tell you, that hit, 'cause you're riding high after one game and then you're riding real low after another game. Like every game you are feeling like is game 7 of the World Series. And especially when you're emotionally invested into a team and truly care, you're watching every game and stuff like that. And you're literally watching a 500 baseball team, which is what the Boston Red Sox are. It's like it takes an emotional toll on you at one point.
Yeah, emotional toll indeed. I think what the trick is when we win, we can't get too high on that win. Because then if they lose the next day, which is normally what's happening here, it just brings us right back to the basement. I think if we can calm down a little bit when we win, or when we go on a little hot streak, then it won't be as bad.
It's just those wins, though, because they're so far and few in between. Again, not like 100 loss team where they're losing all the time, but it's like, oh, they're winning. Like maybe there's a chance we go above 500, and maybe they get hot, and next thing you know, we're on a 6-7 game win streak, and maybe some of these other teams fall, and next thing you know, we're right back in it. Or the flip side, you're on a 6-game losing streak, and you're like, fuck, the season's over. Kill me now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to change as the fan that I am with it by any
Oh, I'm
means,
not asking you
but
to.
like it would be the healthy and mentally sane thing to probably do. But I'm going to
Trotta.
celebrate every single win, and I'm going to take every single win, and I'm going to think very positively about it, and it'll change my outlook on how I approach this team day to day. And if they lose,
Look at
same exact thing. It's an everyday adjustment. Like if you're a coach of a team, you're not going to coach the team and put out the same lineup and have the same idea of each individual player from day one, week one, in comparison to like if you're going into your last week of the season or if you're going into the next season. Yeah, it carries a little bit of weight, but it can't be the whole pie. It's not the same exact thing.
I was going to say, look at the bags under your eyes. Do you think we live healthy lives over here? No, we are emotional messes right now, physically and
Big time.
mentally.
Big time. But we keep grinding. We're just straight up workhorses.
You know what I'm really missing right now?
What do you got?
It's just a nice sip of that bullet slider whiskey. I feel like it's
Oh,
been
dude.
forever, even though it really hasn't. It's only been 2 series, but it feels like forever.
I would love some bullet slider whiskey right now. I think it would take away all the bags under my eyes, all 17 and a half of them, and really lift my spirits up because Lord knows we need it after the way this Mass Sox team has been playing lately. And then honestly, dude, the way that we've been pitching, like it's just the
Let me
bullpen's been good, but just the starting rotation, like we broke it down a little bit at the end of last pod, but it's
I was,
continued here the last 3 days.
I was going to say, let me ask you this because you're right. The starting pitching has been heartbreaking. Now, I shouldn't say heartbreaking. And again, it's regression that we saw coming. It's just a tale of 2 months with that pitching staff. Is it more on the pitchers not executing pitches, or is it more on game plan versus the pitcher, like versus the other team? Do you think?
I feel like it's more execution, and a little mix of workload management as well. I think it's a little mix of those two things. I think the execution is lacking because of the workload management. Possibly, the two things can very likely be linked together. We have a lot of guys that haven't been starting for too long, or are very young in their careers. You know what I mean? Or guys that have bounced back and forth from being reliever to starter, reliever to starter. And those guys that are starters right now were relievers last year, for Christ's sake. So, like, at some point, you're going to see regression. And when there's regression of stamina and overall feel of your body when you're figuring that stuff out. This stuff is even starting like before spring training when they're starting to ramp up. So you can like date this back to like when they're starting in January, February, starting to get their catch play routines going and starting to ramp up. So it's a completely different ball game there. And when you're starting to lack stamina or overall feel from start to start throughout the year, your stuff goes down a little bit. The stuff grade will go down a little bit. Your command, your feel is going to be off a little bit. And I think that's what we're starting to see a little bit based on how many innings we had to throw our starting rotation the first half of April. Second half of April, due to the injuries from Whitlock and Pavetta and Bayo. We had to have Kutter and Tanner throw a shit ton of innings. And although like it was warranted because they were shoving and because we had injuries, now we're seeing it a little bit with one of them. Hopefully we won't see it with Tanner, but we're seeing, I think, the regression with Kutter. And when you date it back to last year, he was a swingman rotationally and in the bullpen. Tanner, throughout the whole entire year, Kutter was healthy throughout the year. You got to keep in mind. So the workload was much more than Tanner, who got one right in the schnozzle, right in the face around halfway point of the year against New York Yankees. I was at that game talking to Carabas when it happened. Ironically, that was kind of a cool little moment, a negative moment to share, but it was still a cool one. Tanner kind of missed all that second half of the year pretty much, so his arm is more fresh than Kutter's when you can compare that workload. And yeah, they had the whole offseason and all that crap, but still, like, that still wears and taxes on your wing when you can think that he's a professional athlete. Kutter probably wanted to work on some things this offseason, and he probably didn't take too much time off of throwing. You know what I mean? He probably deloaded a little bit, but he was still throwing day to day and quickly ramped up because he wanted to get better, and he knew that he needed to be a starting pitcher in this rotation for 2024. So he probably stuck it into high gear, high risk, high reward. I'm going to bust my ass this offseason and get even better. I'm going to trust this new pitching coach that we fucking brought in, and I'm going to go all out. He went all out, and it showed early on, but I think he's starting to feel it a little bit, and we're starting to see that. And Cooper Criswell, man, he was fucking fantastic, was he not? Like, in April. But, like, what was he doing with Tampa? He was like a fucking swingman, dude. And he was expected to be a swingman for us. He wasn't expected to be this starting pitcher. Yeah, he was nails in April when he, like, started out as a reliever, and then we had to use him as an opener, and then he ended up being a 5-inning guy, 4 or 5-inning guy for us. Similar to, like, what Tanner was when he was younger, or what we were expecting out of Corey Kluber. But now you're starting to see, now that the sample size is getting bigger, the innings pitched is getting a fatter number, the pitch counts is fatter now. I think we're starting to see a little bit more of that realistic perspective and regression with these guys.
To that point, like I've said to you, where like guys are letting up 3-4 earned runs in the first couple innings, and then they're showing maturity, if you will, and grinding through it and getting to 6-7 innings.
Yeah.
Where now I can look at it though from that perspective and be like, yeah, it's probably great that that's happening and whatnot, but at the same time too, when after doing that and then grinding through to get 6-7 innings, that's going to take a toll on your arm and whatnot. So you make a good point with a lot of these guys are starters that were relievers or relievers that were starters. Like I think Brian Bayo is the only one that was an official starter that is in this actual rotation right now. Because at one point Pivetta was a relief pitcher last year. Whitlock was, well, he's not even in the rotation anymore, but Houck was in the bullpen. Kutter, everything that you had mentioned to that point. And honestly, the Red Sox love making a reliever a starter for no goddamn reason.
I couldn't tell you why, but yeah.
I would love to see or hear the philosophy behind that stuff. Because you and I were texting today, and you mentioned Mason Miller or whatever, and you're like, curious to see what team trades for him and if they try to turn him into a starter. And I was like, I know the Red Sox surely would.
Yeah, for sure the Red Sox would in a heartbeat. He's a unique case, Mason Miller, because like when he first came up last year, early on, I think he was an opening day roster guy. I'm 99.9% sure he was a starting pitcher, and he struggled hardcore, and they set him down for the rest of the year. I'm pretty sure until September. I don't. Oh, he hurt his arm.
He hurt his arm or had surgery or like partially torn labrum type thing, something along those lines, and had to rehab it. I forgot exactly what it was, but
so that would make sense workload wise, putting him in the pen right now. They're probably doing like an innings limit thing, I would assume, because he's young and he throws 1,000,000 miles an hour and he's a freak of nature. So they're probably trying to keep him healthy. But yeah, that'd be an interesting trade piece, and to see what like LA Dodgers would do with him, if they'd keep him in the pen or if they would make him a starter. Same thing with like if you send him over to an Atlanta Braves right now, if they would turn him into a starting pitcher due to the injuries right now, what's going on, like have him go 4 or 5 innings strong. I'd be really curious to see what happens if anybody gives up the haul for this man. But yeah, I won't be the Red Sox.
I can tell you now though, like it's easy to say this, and it's exactly what we've been saying about Whitlock for years. I can't see somebody turning this guy to a starter. Like he is way too elite out of the bullpen with what he does. He has the most Ks on his team, and he's a closing pitcher.
Yeah, he has to be used the right way as a reliever. Like he's kind of like that old school relief pitcher that's going multi innings. That's what I love about him. He's getting multi inning saves, multi untraditional relief appearances. Like he's starting to come in the seventh inning. It's kind of like a Garrett Whitlock role and an Andrew Miller role. You know what I mean? And you don't really see that too often. It's kind of like using your closer when it's the most important time of the game. And no disrespect, well, kind of disrespect to the Oakland Athletics. That's their only guy, so they kind of have no other option but to use him in those spots. If it's like the sixth inning, bases loaded, no outs, and you got to get the out, he's the only guy you can turn to in that scenario.
He has only gone more than one inning 4 times this year.
When he was on his hot streak, he was doing that multiple times, I think, in that streak.
Yeah, because I see
Against the Red Sox specifically, he went 2 innings, if I recall.
He is 3. No, he has 5 earned runs all year. Okay.
He went multi-innings against the Red Sox. He was fucking carving against us, dude. Beginning of the year, he went like 2 1/3.
Innings, and then 2 against Detroit, and then 1-1-1-1-1-1, then 1.1, 1-1-1-2, 2, 1-1, 1.2. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be intrigued to see if somebody's willing to give up something for him. I mean, Dallas Braden, I think, would be ready to quit the announcer gig if Mason Miller was traded.
Yeah, he would. He'd pack his bags and go to Pittsburgh real fast.
Yep. All right, you ready to jump into this series and get it over with?
Yeah, let's swan dive into it, shall we?
All right. Game 1, game 55 of the year. Cooper Criswell versus Cole Irvin. My first note, and this was something that we were going to talk about last episode, but we're going to put it right on here. NESN 360 is an absolute joke. I'm sitting on my couch, I'm putting it on, and the sound is fuzzy. Okay, you can't hear shit. I'm getting pissed off. I'm over here like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on? And I'm getting snappy. Haley's looking at me like, what's wrong? Why are we getting so mad? And I'm like, because I pay for fucking NESN 360 and this shit won't work. It is pissing me off. I pay an absurd amount of money. Now, I say an absurd amount of money, but when you pay $30 a month for a streaming service just to watch one fucking team, not the Bruins, not the Celtics, not whoever, one fucking team, that's a lot of money, okay? When I could just go get Fubo TV, all right? But I put this on. NESN 360 says there are technical difficulties. Please stand by. TV has a stroke. You can still hear the game in the background. You can't hear shit. It sounds like it's on a 1950s fucking radio with these two talking. I have to stand up to my surround sound speakers to hear it. So I get really mad in this moment, and I end up sending NESN 360 an email. Keep in mind, this was very heat of the moment.
Boy.
And it was passionate.
What'd you say?
And so Haley's looking at me. She goes, who are you texting right now? Are you texting Trotta? And I was like, no, I am emailing NESN 360. And so I go to report that I have a problem. And I go, can you please tell me how I pay $300 some odd a year just so I can watch the Boston Red Sox every night? Yet NESN 360 can't have a game, let alone a series, without having a single issue. My screen goes black. It just buffers, or commercials just play on loop the whole time, or commercials play during the podcast at the same time, or general lag, or technical difficulties. Please stand by. I generally can't think of a time when this has worked without a flaw or issue. Whoever runs this or makes the big decisions ought to be ashamed of the product that they charge a lot of money for, and this is what we are handed. I'm a diehard fan of this team. I live and breathe the Red Sox. John Henry has already fucked that up. Now it's NESN. Give me a break. Multi-million or if not billion-dollar company can't get their own streaming app to work without issue. Figure it out, or else I'll be requesting a full refund, and I will get it, and I will just go support some other team and move on from this pathetic product you offer. Thanks for nothing, jackasses.
Oh my goodness.
I get a response from Rachel. She was a sweetheart. I have not responded back, though, and I don't have that 100% response in front of me. Brandon, thanks for the feedback. Really appreciative of all your help here. Can you please describe what is happening to your TV, or do you have any images or anything like that that you can send us to help fix this issue? And then it goes, please list all the other issues below. And I was like, no, this was not like me. This was me having an issue with like you, ownership. Nesson 360. This wasn't technical issues because clearly you can't fucking fix them. All right. This was my issue with Nesson 360 and the fact that we can't just stream a game without an issue. I was fucking fed up. But this was all in the fucking top of the first inning. Great way to start a game.
That is not great, but I would like to thank you on behalf of all of the Nesson 360 app subscribers, because goddamn, you said and sent exactly what everybody else was thinking. For the people.
I will be a spokesperson for the people on this. I will be the class action lawsuit face of this when Nesson 360 gets sued.
Good.
I'm just looking forward to a free year next year of Nesson 360. Actually, no. I take that fucking completely
Give
back.
the man fucking
Reel it
tickets,
out.
for Christ's sake, dude.
I don't even want tickets.
Roll out the red carpet.
I just want to watch a game without issue. Hell, it's like the Red Sox, okay? We watch one game without an issue, which is great. We watch two without an issue. Now we're somewhere. We get to 3 Trotta, and that, my friend, is called a streak.
That's called a streak. But I don't think we're going to get there with Nesson 360. We will with the Red Sox team, though.
Yeah.
It
was just bad. Not happy.
Yeah, I'm sorry you are experiencing that. Fubo.
Now, I was going to say, are you experiencing this at all on Fubo?
No, not even a little bit. No, because it's from the Nesson TV.
Duly
not the Nesson app.
Fubo TV. Get money back. Buy that.
Yep.
No free ads. All right. Next note. Where on earth?
Here's a free ad. Fuck Nesson 360.
Don't pay for it. Don't do it. Not worth it.
How about we all just email at the same time, the same exact time? All of us that are frustrated with Nesson 360, just email them at the same exact time, or we all just like head to Twitter, head to X all at the same time, and right when Mac calls out that magic conch signal, bang, pull the trigger.
News team, assemble.
Yeah, Nesson, figure it out. Or give us our money back. This is bullshit. Thanks. But yeah, game 1, Red Sox, Orioles.
Where on earth are we playing for double play depth? Now, this was talked about on the broadcast, but it's something I'm noticing. I don't know if this is something that is like coaches' defensive alignment and moving guys around because of hit probabilities and playing probabilities and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we had a lefty up, runner on first, less than 2 outs. And so Vaughn Grissom's playing on the outfield grass and kind of like he's shaded towards double play depth, like towards second base, but playing so deep that he gets a slow roller. He doesn't have time to turn 2. This happened twice this series that Vaughn Grissom is playing back there. So I don't know if it's Vaughn. I don't know if it's the coaches, but double play depth is where you normally stand. You're going to take 2 steps in and 2 steps to your right towards second base.
Do you think that's a thing? Like he's not used to that position because he's originally a shortstop? I feel like it's the opposite for a shortstop.
No, because I feel like I don't think it is Vaughn Grissom unless it. I don't know how to describe this because part of me believes it's a coaching staff saying, "Hey, like
yeah, they got to be
big
playing
lefty up here hitting the ball hard. We're going to
probability.
play back here because he's probably going to hit the ball hard, and it's going to be hit hard enough to you where you can turn a double play. It's either that or he's looking at the hat, seeing that Ryan McKenna or Ryan O'Hearn or whoever was up is batting, hits the ball hard. I'm going to play back on him right now. But I feel like if Cora were to see that, Cora would be like, "Hey, bring it in a couple."
Yeah, especially if that was a player-driven decision. I feel like that would get adjusted by your manager who played second base at a pretty above-average level.
I'd say so. Next note, Jordan Westberg for a double scores Kowser from first, 1-0 O's, bottom of the second.
Not great.
Mateo doubles off the wall, then Adley has a sac fly to center, makes it 2-0, bottom of the second. Or bottom of the 3, Orioles. To this point, this second note, keep in mind Cole Irvin's on the mound. He's a lefty. Second mound visit, by the O's when Dom Smith comes to bat? Is there something I should know that like we don't? Because in the second inning or first inning, they came up, had a mound visit when he came up, and then in the third inning, came up again. When he came up again, they went out for a mound visit. Is there something I don't know? Is this guy super good? Like, are they like sitting there like, yo, man, this dude could fucking rock you right now. Let's keep the ball low. Like, I was just, what the hell are we talking about with Dom Smith up the bat? He's gonna roll over to second base every time.
Yeah, I don't know. That's very odd. The only thing I could think of is like past appearances against one another. Dom just crushing him, but I don't even think that was the case because Cole Irvin was on the whatchamacallits, the Athletics before he was on the Orioles, if I recall. And Dom Smith was a Yankee. So a Met, so excuse me. So I don't know how that would work.
I don't know.
To the point that you would have as many plate appearances against one another that you need to mound visit twice.
That's what I'm saying. And like it was in like weird enough mound visits that it was cause for me to put a note in there. Like it's not like all right, bases got juice, we got to give him a breather type thing or something like that.
No one on,
like,
2 outs.
Yeah, like one actually I think was a runner on first with 2 outs, and he was up there like in the first inning or whatever it was. And I was like, what are we doing here? It's Dom Smith. Just throw him a fucking fastball low and away, and you're out of this inning.
And it's not like Cole Irvin was struggling throughout the day with anything, you know?
Yeah. Next note, Dom strikes out. However, I feel
Mount
for
isn't
him.
worth it.
I feel for him though because it was not a strike. He got called on a high outside pitch, and he battled this at bat. Was fighting off pitches, got it to full count. However,
just an ode to Angel Hernandez there.
Right, you have a lefty versus a lefty up, and the way that I'm picturing it. So again, it was a high outside strike that was called, where it was probably like 4 inches out or something like that. When you got a lefty coming across the top of the zone whose ball kind of naturally goes glove side for a lefty, like it looks like it comes across the zone before it actually goes out of the zone. So I could see why maybe that would be a strike. Either way, like it probably could have gone either way. No matter what, though, he got the bat taken out of his hands, and that was upsetting.
I can understand your frustration.
Bases loaded, less than 2 outs, and we can't do jack shit. Story of the Red Sox 2024.
Meh.
Bases loaded and no outs for the Orioles. Stowers hits a double over Duran's head.
Oh,
4-0. This
nice?
First game, dude, they just peppered that left field wall and that gap between Duran and Little Raffy.
All night.
Mullins hits a triple and it's 6-0 O's. I said it's going to be a long.
Yep.
Mateo sack fly to right and it's 7-0, just like that in the bottom of the fourth. Yeah. Then I said this home plate umpire is awful. We talk about holding people accountable. They need to be held accountable more than anyone. So Jemai, Obi, and Lou were all laughing in the box down 7-0. And to be honest with you, that was all the entertainment I needed in that moment. I forgot what they were laughing about. I think it was Lou said, "Thanks, TC." And then like the three of them just started cracking up. And like my favorite thing is they're like Lou and Obi will be laughing. And then Jemai will like somehow come back on the mic after being gone for 30 seconds and be like, yeah, guys, it's Jemai down here. And it just, I was like, you know what? I know we're down 7-0, but like, I don't blame them. What the fuck are we actually going to talk about? The game here?
It's just them keeping the audience. That's all they're doing. And they're pretty damn good at it. That little group.
They are. And to be honest with you, so I was listening to
It's Lou, I'm telling you.
I was listening to the Detroit broadcast today because Tarek Skubal was pitching against Jared Jones. And I was like, all right, that's a matchup I want to see. The Detroit broadcast is so fucking boring that I had to flip it to the Pirates broadcast. Even then, it was so boring.
I can't imagine those markets would have good ones.
One of them had an older guy. His name was Keith. Don't know what his last name was, paired with a younger guy. And this old guy was like, well, you know, this Tarek Skubal throws the ball hard. And the guy would be like, yes, he does. And then he would be like, you know, if the Detroit loses in their City Connect jerseys, you got to wear your City Connect jersey next game. And he goes, I actually left mine in my car. He goes, well, you can wear mine. It's a little bit big. But and I was like, this is fucking awful. I turned it off. I actually cut the sound at one point and just watched the game.
That's when I would cut the sound and pull up like WEEI radio on my phone and listen to it that way.
I couldn't though because it was again Pirates and Tigers. I was doing a little scouting. That's all.
Ah, well,
Um,
no, like you check the other radio, like check their radio, like because I'm assuming you're on MLB TV.
I
Like
see what
switch
you're
it to
saying.
one of
Check the
those too, because
radio.
odds are they got a Lou in the radio booth somehow,
I
some
see
way,
what
or
you're
a Dallas
saying.
Braden hidden gem type.
That's smart. I may have to do that. That's usually what it is. Like those, like small market teams have a younger guy or just a guy who's passionate about it on the radio, trying to make a name for himself. You know what?
Yep.
That is a golden ticket idea right there. I love that.
Thank you.
To see what little Rafi's going to do defensively is the only reason I need to tune in. And this was the play that I think you were referencing before, where
Yeah,
just
the one in the
running
gap.
towards the left center gap and just makes an unbelievable catch. And honestly, that's really all I need to tune in.
His
Adley,
first steps out there, dude, are just insane. I
they
don't
are, but
understand how he gets consistently that good of a read on a ball. Right off the bat, he's pouncing.
so I've had this thought, and it had to do with maybe today's game, one of these games. They all blend together eventually. But little Rafi's playing center. I think Mateo's at third, short pop up, less than 2 outs. He catches it, and I'm like, oh, Mateo's hosed. Like little Rafi's got a cannon, and like he like double pumped, hesitated. Like his footwork when he goes to throw any baseball, whether it's from shortstop, center field, wherever, is not very good. Like he gets great jumps on the ball, but when it comes to actually throwing the ball, there's something up with his footwork. Like watch it next time.
I'll take a look at it. You mentioned something odd about it with him playing up the middle at short as well, and I noticed it right away, right after you said it at that point a couple weeks ago. When he made a thrown error at shortstop, there was a specific play you sent over to me, and I saw it all day. It was kind of like he was confusing outfield footwork with infield footwork.
It was. And the feet make the throw in the infield. You always got to keep your feet moving and adjusting that or getting your momentum towards your target and whatnot. And that's where we teach left, right into your glove. But like in the outfield, man, the only time he ever makes a clean throw is after he catches it and he's standing right there and can just kind of loop it in, or he's on the run and just throws it in there. Like that's the only time he ever makes a normal looking throw.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of like Manny. He's just chooching it in there, trying to get it in as fast as possible.
Yeah. Now I will say this. I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm not shitting on Cedane Rafaela's defense, nothing like that. It's just his footwork when he goes to throw, because he had to throw.
That's what he has to
not
work on
jump
and get
ahead.
better.
Yeah, and not to jump ahead, but jump ahead. I think it was in this game. Again, they all blend together. But he tried to tag a runner up at first on a deep out to left center gap, threw a fucking hose to first base where it was actually a way closer play than I thought it would be. And I'm like, where the fuck was this when we were trying to throw out Mateo? Like,
Seriously.
just doesn't make sense. Adley doubled off the right field wall, and it's 8-0, bottom 7. 4 hits in a row, and it's 9-0. We're in trouble against good teams. 11-0. I'm going to stop taking notes here. Made it way longer than I thought I would. Then I
God
actually
bless
made
you.
2 more notes. I said, swear to God. So this shit bum pitcher, Everson Pereira, comes in or whatever it is, and Vieira, something like that. And he has like electric stuff. It's 97 with movement and whatnot. Can't find the strike zone to save his life. Walks 4 dudes.
No.
And Romy Gonzalez comes up to bat. And I swear to God, I'm like, okay. This reminds me of when I'm playing MLB The Show and a dude's really wild. And I'm like, all right, I finally start taking pitches. He walks a guy or two. And you're like, all right, I'm hunting one pitch and one pitch only. And you end up just crushing the ball. I go, Romy's going to take that same approach where, like, he knows this dude's wild. He's going to look for one pitch in one spot, and if it's not there, he'll take his walk. I go, but I can tell you right now, if he gets his pitch, I'm like, the dude's throwing 97 with cut. I can see him going right center gap with this. So I said, swear to God, Romy comes up with bases loaded. And I was like, this guy's wild, but I can see Roman going down the line or double the right center gap. Sure as shit, bases clearing triple to make it 11-3. And I go,
Hey, no.
do I dare believe we have a chance? Because it made me think of '04 when the Red Sox were down 7-0 going
Yeah.
into the ninth inning against the Yankees, and they came back and won 8-7. I was like, do we have a little magic in us? Like, do I dare believe? No, I stopped after that.
Nah, don't do it.
Anyways, Red Sox lose 11-3. They dropped to 27-27 on the year. Cooper Criswell goes 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned, 1 walk, 2 Ks. Brad Keller made his debut, and you could tell Cora and Baylor were just like, I don't fucking care what this guy does. Just throw him out there. We need to save the bullpen. 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 Ks, 1 walk.
Chase Anderson threw 70 on Friday night. He still ain't ready to go. Brad, get her done.
Yep. But Cole Irving, soft toss and lefty, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 Ks, 6 walks. Tough.
6 Ks, gotta be his fucking career record.
Speaking of records, game 2. I mean, not really a record, season high, I guess. Game 2, we have
It might be a record for him.
Rodriguez versus
Career.
Ryan Bayo. First note, I actually stole this one right from you because you were about 10 seconds ahead of me. Williard came to fuck tonight. Solo home run. 1-0. Top of the first.
Bombski.
Rob came to fuck tonight. Double. Devers. He came to fuck tonight.
Oh,
He made it 2-0, top of the first. And honestly, this goes back to that Bills James tweet where I'm like, let's fucking go. 2-0 against Grayson in the first. All right. Like,
feeling good.
Rocking. You're feeling real good.
Feel real good.
Again, I make a note. I don't know if it's defensive alignment or if Grissom just doesn't know double play depth. Ground ball to second by Kowser. Grissom gets it. Ends up spinning the wrong way. Now it's 2-1 Red Sox. He made a great play on this ball. He dove glove side to it towards first base, but he got up and spun towards second instead of just getting up and then from one knee throwing right to first. It was just a weird play overall. Anyways, 2-1. Sox are still leading. Then I said, Bayo just doesn't have it tonight. Hit by pitch by Santander. Westberg singles with 2 strikes and bases loaded. Now it's 3-2.
Shit.
To this point, I did text you and say, in hindsight, I might have traded Bayo for Dylan Cease. It was a very heat of the moment text. That thing after every inning when Bayo gets like out of any inning, he always sits there and afterwards he like kind of throws his hands up.
Yeah.
I said, I know Bayo does the hands up after every inning, but that time was more of like a thank fuck I am out of this inning.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Dylan Cease for Brian Bale.
Like, because think about how Dylan Cease is pitching right now for San Diego.
Yeah, and he was he's a 1. That's a 1, dude.
And
Bayo's
he's a 1-2 pitcher. Like, he's a 2-pitch pitcher. He's a fastball slider guy. Obviously, he has other mixes, but those are his 2 big usage.
Yeah.
And you already know Bailey would be hammering that slider, maybe even add a sweeper for all we know. Yeah. And next thing you know, you got a 3-pitch pitcher that is an ace of a staff.
Yeah, that would be a really intriguing thing to consider at some point. Because,
however, Cease is probably looking for the
offseason.
bag.
Yeah, no doubt. And we already extended Bayo.
Yeah.
So.
Grayson's 97 and Bayo's 97 is very, very different. Like,
2 completely different beasts.
Later in the broadcast, this was discussed, but just, again, they're both throwing 97. Bayo's is 97 with sink, and his is just heavy 97 at you. And it dawned on me, because I asked you a question, I think, in the winter maybe, where I asked you about, like, release point. What does that have to do with, like, extension and all that stuff? What does that have to do when it comes to pitchers? Like, what does it do for them? And Lou Maloney ends up pointing out that because Grayson's tall, he has 97th percentile extension. So now that I'm thinking about it, his ball gets on you quicker than Bayo's does. So that 97 probably looking like 100 would be my guess, if not more.
Yeah, more than likely. Based on the release. If it's a little bit more backspin, I don't know his specific numbers on spin direction or anything like that for his pitching, but If it's backspin, that's going to be coming on you quicker. And at 97 with backspin, high amount of spin rate attached to it with a large number for your extension, that's going to have like almost a rise effect to it. And then when you have Brian Bayo, who's more of a smaller sized guy, not 6'5" like Grayson Rodriguez, he's going to have more of that. It looks like your standard fastball, even though it's not, where it looks like it's sinking. It looks like it's dropping a little bit. It doesn't have that rising illusion. I would say it is much more difficult to hit that Grayson Rodriguez profile fastball than it would be to hit Brian Bayo's 97 profiled fastball.
Look at Shota Imanaga, who's throwing like 93. His fastball, though, has the illusion of rising, and hitters aren't touching that at the top of the zone.
Yep, without a doubt. Very different. And it's not really fair to compare the two pitches because, well, it is because you're just looking at it by velocity when they were doing it on the broadcast, but because they're just moving in different ways. If they had the same release, like the same spin direction, like fastballs and different extensions, that would be very interesting to look at see which pitcher would have more success there, and then like what fastball's better per se. But yeah, I like the little debate. I like that they're talking about that on the broadcast. That was Lou.
Yeah, that was Lou who mentioned that, and because it was later after I'd written that note down that he discussed that with his 97th percentile extension and stuff like that. And it just dawned me back to the question that I had asked you in the winter. And I was like, that's why their 97s look very different.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. If you're a tall fuck like 6'5", you're going to be way up there percentile rankings for extension.
Question for you before I get to my next note. How do you feel that like Bayo kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve when he starts? Like when he's pissed, he's pissed. When he's not doing well, he's not doing well. Like, does that bug you at all, especially as like a pitching coach? When you see a guy who's just that like kind of emotional on the mound and kind of almost seems like it lives and dies by every result.
At the like younger levels here, I can understand it because you got to coach them up on it. But once you're in the professional level, you kind of have to keep that in check within reason. And Brian Bayo kind of looks like a kid out there when he's acting like that. And it's not really the best example for the fan base of kids that are in Red Sox Nation or just an opposing fan that's watching that's young. But, if that's him and that's what it takes for him to pitch at the level that he needs to be at for the Boston Red Sox, regardless if he's doing good or bad, like, I get it. Because, we're not really talking about this with Nick Pivetta, who does a very similar thing of wearing his emotions on his sleeve. You kind of know if he's sucking and you know if he's being good. Because regardless, he's F-bombing and screaming.
I'd say he's a fiery guy. Like, Bayo's not a fiery guy.
No. Chris Sale's another one that would show that shit, But then, Eddie, it's different because Brian Bayo's like more of like a powder when he's doing bad. It's not rage and anger. And then when he's doing well, it's like a look at me, swagoo.
Yes. And that's where like it brings me to like Kutter and Houck, who unfazed on the mound, no matter how well or bad they're doing. You would never be able to tell if you took the scoreboard away what the score of the game was. You would think it's probably a 1-0 game every time.
It's Chris Martin similar to that in the bullpen. Justin Slayton's been like that throughout the year with his reactions, just positive, like I'm not phased. The only two guys that I can think of that are like the pouty sort of shit when things aren't going well are Kenley and Brian Bayo. And if you're veteran, oldest guy, future Hall of Famers doing it and there's no repercussion or conversation there, is there anything going on with the younger guy with Bayo here? Or is there conversation being had and Bayo's just looking right at Kenley and you're letting him do it? He's doing the same shit. Yeah, he's been doing the same shit his whole life. I also feel like professionals get away with this shit a lot more out there and don't get like quote unquote benched for it. You know what I mean? Especially pitchers.
Yeah, I can see that to that point. But like I do wonder, like I feel like Bailey though is the perfect guy. Like, dude, I was a closer. Like I couldn't like I could get fired up after, a big save and stuff like that, or striking somebody out. But like, you lit up a home run or whatever it is, you got to forget about it, move on.
I'm a big fan of those rager relief pitchers and closers, like a Jonathan Papelbon, a Brian Wilson. Like, go nuts, dude. I don't care. Do your thing, man. Like, even Aroldis Chapman used to go and like do his little stop pause and, oh, look at me, I'm him type of pose. I'll take that all day. But with my starters, I love a John Lester who doesn't really show emotion until it's like playoff time.
Yeah.
My favorite is when Kyle Hendricks, during that whole entire Chicago Cubs push, even in the playoffs, even in the World Series, when he did something so astronomically insane for the Cubs in the city of Chicago, he walked off the mound like he's done it 1,000,001 times before that. Like he's paid to do it, like he's supposed to be doing it. I think if you're a starting pitcher, you kind of have to have that kind of like, fuck you, I know what I'm doing. I'm this good. I've done it 1,000,000 times. That's why I'm a starting pitcher in the major leagues sort of attitude there. And that's what you see with Tanner Houck, especially, and a little bit with Kutter the past season here so far. But that's what I love out of my starting pitchers. Yes, you have all the right in the world to rage your face off, pull it out the right moments as a starter. Not every single time like a reliever or closer does necessarily, but pull it out at the right times when you're trying to fire up your team on the bench that needs it. Or if it's a big spot in the playoffs, man, that's the time to do it as a starter. And you just shut the fuck up and you keep your body language in check when things aren't going right. Because normally when things aren't going right, it's because you're leaving one down the middle of the plate or you're not executing a certain pitch. And quite in hindsight, being a pitcher and being a pitching coach, when people are bitching and moaning about defense not making the plays, normally my response is, because normally on the air, it's a hard hit ball. I'm like, well, asshole, you kind of missed your spot there a little bit and you hit it harder. How about you execute your pitch better? It'll be a weaker contact play to create a little higher probability for your defense to make it. How about that?
Amen.
Or how about he swings and misses it? Instead of getting pissed off at the outcome, look at yourself, see what you could have done better, and adjust it for the next time, and you won't be as pissed off because you probably fixed it. A little more mature approach, Bayo, would be appreciated.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because there's just something about the pouting that upsets me. You never want to see a major league pitcher, especially when you're just signed to a long-term contract, pout.
No, not one bit.
Next note: Little Raffy spits more than Sammy the Sprinkler from the Benchwarmers. This motherfucker was up to bat, ropes a single up the middle, out of the box, spitting. Gets to first base, spits. Makes a sick play in the outfield. Camera's all on him, and he's just spitting. This dude, I swear to God, is spitting in every... Like, watch it. You're going to see
Fresh
how many times this dude spits now.
Yeah, I think it was a fresh lip snack that he put in right before that at-bat sort of situation, man. And you know how that goes. You got a couple extra spitunias in you. You need to get it out. You can't swallow it.
No, oh God, no. I've been there. We have talked about it with the little Raffy, big Raffy, like little brother type thing. Notice who has a big thing of fucking red man in the side of his mouth.
Look who's Raff does now. Oh, baby.
Now doing it.
Español, papi. Muy bien. Muy bien.
So little Raffy singles. Angry Lizard ties it with a double. 3-3. I love this fucking team.
Yeah, there you go.
Devers bloop single. Duran scores 4-3 Sox. And I said it's going to be a 9-7 game by the end of this. Then I said 5 Ks in a row for Bayo. I fuck with Mad Bayo. And then next one, I said somebody needs to bang Bayo's wife or girlfriend before every start just to piss him off. It would be great to get Mad Bayo, like pissed off, not pouting or anything like that, like fired up Mad Bayo, because that's what we started seeing as this game went on.
Wild approach, but hey, if it's gonna work,
I mean, it's what's best for the team. And honestly, are we not team guys here?
I guess the Boston Red Sox got to figure that out in the clubhouse there now.
Yep, something behind the scenes that they got to talk about, like, hey, on Tuesday I'll do this. You know what I mean? Take a wife to the back room. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I really want that to happen? No, I'm sure
No.
she's a very sweet lady, but still.
Absolutely.
Little Rafi is just so fucking good defensively. My God, he's worth every penny already. Again, another ridiculous catch.
Mm.
I take back everything I said about Bayo to you.
Good.
This is when I was starting to fall asleep because of NyQuil, and I spelled Wing is the new JY real mule. Wong is the new JT real Muto. Like,
There you go.
and I've said this before, but he's gonna like potentially be a mid-average bat, 10, 15 homers a year, steal 10 bases or so. Like, that's exactly what JT Realmuto was doing at the start of his career.
Very similar here. Very similar. Connor Wong is just so much more athletic, though. There's
Oh,
almost more of an opportunity here.
we're gonna get to that. Don't you worry. Maturity. First inning bad, the rest good. I'm tired of saying that word, especially after the conversation we had to start this podcast about pitchers grinding through and then the length that they're going now. But still, it's nice to see after one bad inning, grinding it out. I would take a bullet. Actually, before I get to this one, so there was a guy on Red Sox Twitter, Hogsdale. I like him for the most part. He's enthusiastic about the Red Sox, wants them to win. I just don't know how much he actually understands the game of baseball. I don't know if he ever played other than what he's seeing and watching. But he had sent out a tweet, and actually I'm just going to go bring it up. So he tweeted, "Don't get me wrong, I like Bernardino coming in, but I really wanted to see Bayo try to get himself out of that situation. Seemed like a big opportunity for potential growth. Keep in mind, we are up 4-3 right now. It's a one-run ball game. Runners on first and second, no outs." I tweeted at him, "It's a one-run ball game, no outs, runner in scoring position. Red Sox Twitter would be cursing and calling for Cora's head, letting him stay in if things went bad. Smart managerial decision." But
Yep.
I guess we'll never know. That is just a wild take. In a one-run ball game against one of the best offenses in baseball, you want to leave Bayo, who, not that he was struggling at the time, but had walked and let up a hit there, to leave him in to work out of that with no outs. Crazy talk.
Yeah, that's bonkers, especially for what happened.
Exactly. Which leads me to my next note. I would take a fucking bullet for Bernardino. There's a level of fuck you to him that I have not seen from a relief pitcher on the Sox and or in baseball in a long time. Like, that dude knows when he's going in, he's not worried. He came in, he walked the first hitter. Bases are now loaded, no outs. He gets 2 straight strikeouts and then he gets a strikeout, a ground ball right back to him, flips to home, like no worry in the world.
Glove flip.
Strikes out the last hitter as well. So he was interviewed after the game and asked, like, how do you walk into a position like that, bases loaded, no outs, and get through that? Like, pressure doesn't get to you. And he had said, I don't know the exact quote because I don't have it, but something along the lines of how when he was like 21, his wife and his newborn daughter, like, he had to work to provide for them. He's like, so I've dealt with pressure my entire life. He goes, this is nothing. And I was like, yes, Bernardino. That is the fuck you, like, that bases loaded, no outs against the Orioles. That's nothing compared to what I've had to go through in my life. Fuck yeah.
Guy's a dog, man. And you see him not phased at all through that whole entire situation. Brian Bayo needs to take notes a little bit on the mental approach.
100%.
Bernardino, another guy. Bernardino, another guy at the end of each inning, the one that kind of goes up there to the sky each time. Very similar to Brian Bayo, but does it a lot more in a religious, like, calm way.
Yes, 100%.
Doesn't look like he's just not want to say Brian Bayo's just doing it to do it, but not for more swag than religion.
Then actually, like, thank you, God. I appreciate what you've given me the ability to do.
Like Brian Bayo, like, saying, like, let's fucking go, or like Coño Mamo Huevo. Like, Bernardino's probably genuinely thinking God.
This next one was a random thought that came to me. And I said, I think the MLB should have an all Joes team. This had to go with the Hogsdale tweet. Should have an all Joes team. Just dudes from anywhere from 24 to 38-year-old guys who think it's just a fastball, just hit it, or how did he not field that, or just throw a strike kind of dudes. Put them all on one team and let them do a tour to each ballpark, play one game versus each MLB team. 21 mercy rule, stats count towards the Hall of Fame. All for it.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
I'd pay to watch that shit happen.
Yep. Perfect games up and down the fucking schedule right there.
It's going to be like bench warmers when Howie or whatever the hell his
mercies.
name is, and he foul tips one finally, and he goes, I ticked it. That's going to be that.
2 foul ticks in front of salad girl.
Too sad.
You gotta step up to the plate, son.
You're fat.
Shit. Someone get his sword. I had hair on my ass before I could walk.
If you build it, the nerds will come.
Yes, they will. I'll take a turkey on what? Mother, look! It's another peanut butter sculpture. A pterodactyl. Kalaka. Kazuli. Oh. And then Mrs. Puff comes out randomly. Oh, Marcus, stop trying to cast spells. For fucking, what's his name? Rob Schneider's standing there like, what the fuck?
Gus.
Is
Gus
this?
Bust.
Yeah. Gus Bus is just...
That is now 2 bench
this kid up.
references. Sammy the Sprinkler, and then just a slew of them right there.
That's just classic. Great movie, man. Great movie. Anyways, Red Sox. Woo!
Devers athlete equals athlete. Triple to lead off the 8th. Connor Wong singles to right. 5-3 Red Sox. Bottom 8. And I said, fuck, man. This team can be good. Even great. If anybody's shitting on Dom Smith there, it's called a hit and run. So there was a play where it was David Hamilton at first base, and Dom Smith got a high and tight fastball, and it was just a terrible swing. And I immediately went to Red Sox Twitter, and there was a few people that were like, Dom Smith, what are we swinging at there? And it was very clearly a hit and run. Like he was just trying to put that ball in play right there. So there's that. A lot of defense towards Dom for some random fucking reason, this Orioles series. Romy hits a sac fly to center, makes a 6-3 top of the 9th. 2-run homer by Rob. He fucks. 8-3 Red Sox. Romy is a man of the
great
people.
Game.
Sox win 8-3. Bale goes 5 innings pitch, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. Grayson Rodriguez, 6 innings pitch, 7 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk. 10 Ks, which I think is a season or career high. I literally forgot what they said, but that's one of them.
That's huge.
Devers 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Ref 2 for 4, 2 RBIs with a double and a home run. Sox were 4 for 8 runners in scoring position. Which brings us to Game 3. Don't have too much here, I promise you. I said Williers, my right fielder, made a great play in right in the first inning. That on a ball that I thought was easily going to drop and be a double. Wong is a stud. Pickoff attempt dropped and then ends up at third base. So he was at second base. Corbin Burns tried to pick him off. Ball got away. Only like 5 feet without hesitation. Booked it to third. And this is where you talk about him being a better athlete than JT Real Muto and whatnot. That's where it showed right there.
No doubt. Especially when it's not so much defensively that the athleticism comes into play. It's more like on the base paths when he puts the ball in play. That's when it's going to matter the most. And where
and
it
you can take that extra 90 feet.
Yep. Invaluable in today's sped-up game.
Yep. After that, infield comes in. Dom hits a liner to second. Wong scores 1-0. And then I didn't read about this today. I heard about it on the broadcast, but Tyler O'Neill, 10-day IL with like right knee soreness or whatever. I'm okay with it because clearly he needs to
get right.
Get right. Exactly. So
yeah,
if 10 days, I'm hoping that he can kind of come back, feel right, and we see a little bit of that old Tyler O'Neill come back.
My concern here, I would rate the same as I had with Rafi's shoulder at the beginning of the year. It's just annoying, but it's needed, and I have a feeling that when Tyler O'Neill gets right again with this, it's going to be a similar progression of success as Rafael Devers had when he came back from that shoulder injury.
I sure hope so because we are missing the early season Tyler.
I'm praying it's not like an Adam Duvall thing from last year where he's only hot until he got that injury and that little bump of the head. And
But this
I
is
just
what we
hope it's not
know.
like that.
This is what we know about him. He's a guy who is often injured. Like, and it. I
Yeah,
mean, I
I
know
know.
the concussion thing was like a freak accident, but like the right knee soreness now and stuff like that. So I don't know if we're looking at our DH from here on out, unless Devers, needs a day off or something.
Yeah, it's probably what we're looking at based on how
Which
our outfield's been looking defensively.
one of the best in the league, and on top of it, Masataka Yoshida, I have a feeling is probably back in Japan because like misses his family, misses Japan baseball where he was a
Yeah.
star. I think he's probably back there right now, just figuring shit out.
Yeah, getting healthy again, resting that thumb ski.
Mm-hmm. Um, Colton Cowser, RBI single up the middle. Little Raffy almost gunned somebody out at home, 1-1. The umpire can go fuck himself. Kutter threw a slider right down the middle. It was called a ball. So Kutter walks James McCann, who's the 9 hitter. So Adley's not even in the lineup. I'm like, maybe we actually got a real fighting chance to win game 3. Kutter get right. Nope. Walks James McCann. Gunnar Henderson hits a no doubt grand slam. Kill me now. Jorge Mateo tries to steal third. I said, don't steal on us. No. Wong throws out Mateo. Chase Anderson lets up solo home run. Bottom 7, 6-1 O's.
Mm.
Obi said something funny. He's like, this field's very interesting. It's 318 down the right field line and then 900 feet down the left field line. But he said it so seriously that like I chuckled at it.
In his monotone way.
My last note here, because I just stopped giving a fuck. Cora and Jaron Duran are both sitting next to each other in the bottom of the 8th inning, and they're both just sitting there like, and literally
Just
they're
hating
just thinking
life.
to themselves like, fuck this.
Let it hurt now. Let them
Yep.
get their time against us early on in the year. That's fine.
I don't even know if they're thinking that. They're just probably thinking like, get me to tomorrow at this point. Sox lose
Let it hurt.
6-1. They improve. I don't even know if you want to say it, to 500 baseball, 28 and 28. Kutter, 6-inning pitch, 4 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Wong went 2 for 4. A few other guys had a hit. Don't care.
And we lose the series 1 out of 3.
We did win the one that you thought we were going to win, though, so kudos to you.
Yeah, that's great. Brian Bayo stepped up a little bit. Not so much Brian Bayo, but Brennan Bernardino. If it wasn't for Brennan Bernardino right there, then we got swept. And I think the finale would have been 10 times worse than what it was in retrospect. It probably wouldn't have been 6-1. It probably would have been substantially worse. I think they would have kind of packed up and been thinking Detroit.
What really annoys me is it seems to be like a lot of these bad losses stems from one bad inning, one bad play, one bad pitch. So again, it was a 1-1 ball game. You walk James McCann, bases are now loaded, and it's a 5-1 ball game. Like
you got to
you take
expect that though.
No,
But you got to
it's just
expect
like,
that with this sort of team and this sort of talent level.
absolutely.
That if you have one bad inning,
that's
you're
all it takes.
screwed. Like, because we're not winning games by freaking 4+. We're normally winning games in save situations or losing games by 1, 2, 3 runs. We're not getting blown out. We're not blowing people out normally, unless if you're facing the goddamn Orioles.
Yeah, it's just it's always one error, one bad pitch, one bad inning, and at the major league level, you can't allow that.
No, you cannot. But hopefully things will turn around now that the Orioles are behind us and we don't see them until the second half of the year.
But that brings us to our series look ahead.
Man, I wish we had some bullet slider whiskey to hand out or do an MVP or something.
A little TTPP, give me some.
Well, the series look ahead here. The Red Sox are going to go play the Tigres in Detroit for 4 games. Yeah, I don't fucking know, man. The Sox play tomorrow at 7:10. Oh, we're playing at Fenway? All right, cool. That's great. My fault. So, well, yeah, whatever. Who the fuck knows? Jack Flaherty fucking pitching against Nick Pivetta. Oh, Nick Pavetta's been struggling lately. On the year, he's got a 4.20. Hey, how are you, Snoop Dogg? What it be? 2-3 record, 30 innings pitched, 33 Ks, 5 walks, 7 holy fuck home runs, 1.07 WHIP. Last start gave up 7 hits, 5 runs, 3 Ks, 3 walks, and 3 1/3 against Milwaukee. Career versus Detroit, he has 2 games, 1 started, 8 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 13 strikeouts. Holy smokes. And 3 walks. Baez is 429 against him with a home run, and Gio Urshela is batting 500 against him with a home run and 4 RBIs and a double. Jack Flaherty here is 1-4 with a 3.84 ERA, 61 innings pitched, 81 strikeouts, 9 walks, 9 homers. Holy Nick Pivetta, whatever you can do, bitch, I can do better. 1.08 WHIP. Last start was against Toronto. 6 1/3, 7 hits, 3 runs, 2 homers, 9 strikeouts, 2 a walk. He has allowed a home run in all but 2 starts this year. Fun fact for you about Jack Flaherty. Career versus Boston, 2 starts, career 4 1/3, 10 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 1 dingo given up, 5 Ks, 1 walk. Good Lord Almighty. Going into game 2 here, we got Kenta Maeda versus Tanner Houck. Hulkamania, brother. Is 4-5 on the year. Jesus Christ, man. How is he 4-5 with a 1.9 ERA? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. 71 innings pitched, 69 strikeouts, 13 walks. Giggity. 0.99 WHIP. Last start versus Milwaukee, 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 run-ski, 1 walk-ski, 7 Ks. Career versus Detroit, 2 games, 1 started, 6 innings total, 2 runs, 5 Ks, 2 walks, 1-0 record. Hey now, how are you? And that's not 2024, Tanner. Oh, shit. Kenta Maeda, 2-1 this year with a 5.80. Holy stink. 35 innings pitched, 24 Ks, 10 walks, 9 homers. Holy shit again. 1.32 WHIP. Last outing, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 K against Toronto. Career versus Boston, 3 starts, 12 innings, 6 earnies, 3 home runs, 12 Ks, 4 walks, 4.5 ERA. Game 3, we got Reese Wilson versus the $1 million baby, Cooper Criswell. Coop is 2-2 with a 3.96 ERA through 38 2/3 innings, 36 strikeouts, 9 walks, 1.19 WHIP. Last start versus Baltimore. We just talked about it. 4 innings, 6 earned. Took the L. Reese Olson is 1-5 with a 1.92 ERA. Worse than Houck. I feel bad for this guy. 56 innings pitched, 47 strikeouts, 19 walks, 1 home run, 1.05 WHIP. Last start had 1 run through 6 1/3 against Toronto, 4 Ks, 3 walks, 3 hits. First win of the season. He has never faced the Sox before. The finale will be Brian Bayo versus Casey Mize. Brian Bayo is now 6-2 on the year, 4.18 ERA and 47 1/3 innings pitched, 44 Ks, 15 walks, 8 home runs. Jesus Christ. 1.18 ERA. We just talked about his last start. 5 innings pitched, 3 runs, 7 Ks. Career versus Detroit, 4 2/3. Got whacked it a little bit. 7.71 ERA, 9 hits, 2 home runs, 4 runs. Casey Mize is 1-3 on the year with a 4.71 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. Last outing, he gave up 3 runs, 1 home run in 4 1/3 innings against Toronto. Career versus Boston, he is 0-1 in 2 starts, 4.09 ERA, 11 innings pitched, 3 home runs, 6 Ks to 5 walks. And that is your series look ahead for this 4-game set, with 2 games finalizing our May schedule, and the last 2 starting our June. Mac, what do you got series prediction for this 4-gamer against Detroit?
I was going to say, I'm going to take the first one just so you can have a nice breath of fresh air there.
Go for it, buddy.
Well, I mean, they're a 500 baseball team like us. To be honest with you, I originally had 1-3 against them with a very pessimistic take. However, I do realize that their offense is kind of like ours. Some games they're going to score a lot.
They got some gays.
They love them over in Detroit.
Yeah, you know.
They got some. Some games are going to score a lot of runs. Other games they're going to score very little, if not any runs. Like Reese
Mm-hmm.
Olson literally just got his first win. Casey Mize hasn't been great, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
changing it. We're going to get a nice split ski. I think
Mm.
we are going to win the Pavetta start versus Jack Flaherty. We have some guys that have hit pretty well against Jack Flaherty. I know he's a little bit of a different pitcher this year, but the 9 home runs kind of like him and Pavetta are very similar pitchers. Where I think it's going to be a close game, but I think it'll be a relatively high scoring game. Like in the if there's an 8.5 over on the runs over under, I would take the over on that.
Fair.
I think they win game 2 against Kenta Maeda because Kenta Maeda has just stunk this year, and we have Tanner Houck going. Like I have to believe we're going to win every time now when Houck takes the mound, whether
Yep.
he gets the win or the team just rallies
Figures it
behind
out.
him. I originally had us for a loss game 3 against Cooper Criswell. However, that could change. No, I'm sorry. I had us originally for a loss against Jack Flaherty. I changed that to a win. I think we lose Reese Olson versus Cooper Criswell. Reese has just been really freaking good this year. He's just gotten no run support. He does walk quite a few, but like he's been really good and has only allowed 1 home run, where we rely a lot on the home run ball. I can
Yeah.
see us holding us at bay. And Casey Mize versus Brian Bayo. I think they're very, very similar pitchers to a certain extent. So this is going to be another like Pavetta-esque game where like I might take the over on the runs there. I don't see us winning that with how Bayo's been pitching lately. So I got a nice split ski right down the middle. We win the first 2, lose the last 2.
Not a bad assessment. Not a bad assessment. For game 1, I got Pavetta having a really strong bounce back start here. He's been owning Detroit in his career, 13 strikeouts in 8 2/3 innings, and only given up 3 runs in 8 2/3. I think that stacks up extremely well against a Jack Flaherty, who, like you mentioned, struggles against the Red Sox quite a bit in his career. So I really like our odds with Nick Pavetta having a really strong 8+ strikeout, 6-inning start, giving up a solo shot or 2, but really minimizing damage and providing us a really strong opportunity to get a win. I expect Justin Slayton and Kenley Jansen at minimum to be used out of the bullpen here to get the job done in the back end, and that's a really good recipe for a win right here, especially in comparison to what Detroit's got. In game 2 here with Tanner versus Kenta Maeda, I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. This is such a mismatch. This is like a center being guarded by a freaking 6-foot point guard right here, this starting pitching matchup. Tanner Houck all day long. I'm not even going to go in depth here. Like, come on. The Kenta Maeda has a 5.8 ERA here. He gave up 3 homers in his career against the Red Sox in 12 innings pitched. Like, what are we doing here? That's a no-brainer. Game 3, this is where it gets a little tricky, man. Cooper Criswell versus Reese Olson. My heart wants to say Coop's going to get the job done, but I can't. He hasn't really been great. He's been getting waxed a little bit the last couple of outings outside of that mulligan that he had against Tampa. But still, he gave up 2 runs. I just don't know. And Reese has been doing his job and then some. The only shot I will take here is that the Red Sox get run support for Cooper Criswell. Meanwhile, Reese Olson does not get run support, like the similar song and tune has been for him throughout the year with that 1-5 record with a 1.92 ERA. In conclusion of that little rant of Game 3, my prediction is the Red Sox find a way to win against Reese Olson. Reese Olson doesn't get run support. Last game. So currently, as you can see, I have a 3-0 record out of 3 games for the Red Sox here against the Tigers. I don't think they're going to get a sweep. I think Brian Bayo is going to get touched up a little bit. He hasn't been doing great against Detroit in his career. He's given up the long ball a lot. This seems like a game that he will really put on his shoulders and with his emotions. I think he gets over emotional a little bit here and gets touched up. But Casey Mize although he hasn't had the best year so far, he's a pretty damn good pitcher who has had mass success against the Red Sox. He had one bad outing, and then the other outing was a no decision where he gave up a run or two. I think Casey Mize is much better than his record in ERA and numbers show for 2024, and it's a sort of pitcher like an Irvin that we just saw that can kind of blank us out for 5-6 innings real quick and have kind of like a get right game, especially with a guy that doesn't really strike out many dudes. Like this is such a predictable, like he's going to go 6 1/3 and have 6 or 7 punch outs against the Red Sox lineup. Right when we think we're going to sweep these fucks. Nope. Casey Mize has a career day and strikes out a million. Yeah, so I was really hoping for like my bones feeling a sweep here, but I don't. I don't think Bayo gets it done, but I think Pivetta, I think Houck, and I think Criswell do, and I think this offense gets it done in 3 of the 4 games against this pitching here. And I like bullpen wise, I will take the Red Sox all day here over Detroit. The only guy that I love that I low-key hope the Red Sox can trade for, and I think like this is a guy that has a lot of value that not a lot of teams are like aware of. Jason Foley, man, this guy's a freaking stud in that bullpen of Detroit. Keep your eye out for him, Red Sox fans and SoxHub fans here while you're watching this 4-game series. You'll probably see him at least 2 times. This guy comes in at the back end of the game, 7th, 8th, 9th inning for the Tigers. He is a filth fest with a nasty mustache, nasty flow cheese in the back of his hat. Would fit beautifully with this best mustache game Boston Red Sox pitching staff, without a doubt in my mind.
To be honest with you, I love it because part of me did want to go 3-1. One part of me wanted to go 1-3. The other part of me wanted to go 3-1 because like the Casey Mize start could go either way, where he has a career game, like you said, or he doesn't. I mean, he's got a 1.43 whip on the year, and he's allowed 59 hits in 49 2/3 innings pitched. So he's hittable. His velo's noticeably down from what it was post or pre Tommy John surgery and stuff like that. And keep in mind too, this is his first year back from Tommy John. He was a top prospect for them a while ago. So he started off the season really well, but the peripherals didn't match up with it, and they're kind of catching up to him. But again, Bayo hasn't been that great lately, so it could be a blunder start for him. He could let up 2-3 home runs, and anything's possible. So I'm with you in the sense of like my heart feels like there could be
you like my optimism,
something here. Yeah,
you're staying
like
your
there's split. I'm staying my split, and
you picked
I just think that's
route.
Realistic.
You picked the safe route going with the 500 approach.
You're going to see a theme there.
Yeah, so I think that is a good time for us to kind of go into our June look
1
ahead
second,
here.
Real quick. Hold on. I just want to say one thing about the Tigers and the Red Sox. You look at the records, and they're very, very similar. The Tigers are 27-28, and the Red Sox are 28-28. And the difference between the two is the Tigers are actually like low-key exciting. Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize, Reese Olson, Matt Manning, Jack Flaherty doing what he's doing. I mean, Spencer Torkelson hasn't been great this year, obviously, but I mean, he's got the pedigree. You got this dude, Wenzel Perez, who just came up out of nowhere and has been crushing the ball for him. Riley Green. Jake Rogers has a mean mustache, banged out 26 home runs last year at the catcher position. Javi Baez, who's just entertaining every fucking at-bat with what he's swinging at. So, like, they have a lot to be excited for. Like, Colt Keith at second base. They have a lot to actually truly be excited for in the next, like, year or two. Where, like, we're just a mid-team that is looking forward to, like, 26, 27, 28. And that's, like, the big, like, thing right now is, like, again, they have a Tarek Skubal. We don't have a Tarek Skubal. Like, we have a Houck, don't get me wrong, just two very different pitchers. One's 97 to touching 100 from the left-hand side and just violent delivery, like a true ace, where, like, Houck's turned into that ace, but just with a very different approach. I would love to have seen, granted, Tarek Skubal pitched today. I would have loved to have seen those two go against each other because, again, the only two people ahead of Tanner Houck in the Cy Young bid right now on FanDuel is Corbin Burns and Tarek Skubal. So I would love to have seen that matchup.
Damn.
And like Tarek Skubal,
dude, Tarek Skubal if he stayed healthy last year, he probably was a Cy Young guy.
Well, he came
This
back in
year-
the second half of the year, but yeah.
If he was healthy all year. And then the year
Yep.
before that, he was started on a nasty run. This guy, if he was healthy, probably right now would be a household name and known as probably a top 3 pitcher in this game. Hopefully by the end of the year, he gets a little bit more love and appreciation and respect because he deserves it, man. He's a rare arm here, especially from that left side throwing the shit that he's doing right now.
He's a guy who, after his Tommy John surgery, is throwing harder. Like, he was like 94 to 96. Now he's like 97 to 98.
Yeah, that's insane. Like he must have tweaked some stuff that they saw mechanically that like one maybe blew up his arm in the first place. That not only made it a little healthier, but had him move a little bit more efficiently and add a couple more miles an hour. Either that or he got that chimpanzee freaking ligament attached to his shit like Dallas Braden wanted. He got that black market deal and found a surgeon that wanted to do it. They can do that for a lefty that throws 97 pre-surgery, not, unfortunately, one that threw 90. And I think I'm being generous a little bit there because, he was mainly a change-up guy, but no chimp ligament surgery for Dallas. It's unfortunate.
No, that was the only thing I wanted to mention about the Tigers and the Red Sox series coming up. Is just very similar teams, very mid teams, but one just has a little bit more to be excited for, I think, in the now.
I like it.
And especially too
I
the
agree with
division they're in with like the Twins, the Guardians.
Yeah, it's so much more of a toss-up and easy go-get.
Like they could be buyers at the trade deadline, and I would love to see them actually do that and make a push in that division.
I would too. It seems like they have similar issues with us. For the most part, I would say that their pitching has been doing predominantly,
pretty well.
Besides Kenta Maeda, pretty damn well this year, and they've been staying healthy. Their bullpen hasn't been great. That hasn't been good. They've been consistent throughout the year, you can say, and their lineup's been fairly polarizing.
Amen. But like you said, that will lead us right into our June look ahead. Last month, I think I predicted us something crazy like 18-8 or something like that, and that clearly did not happen. I thought a special run was happening. But why don't you line it up for us? Like, what's the schedule look like here in a quick rundown?
All right, so we got 26 total games in June. The last 2 games of this Detroit series we just ran through will be the starting 2 on the first and second. Then we go and have 2 against Atlanta, followed by 4 against the White Sox, 3 against Philadelphia, 3 against New York. Then we have 3 against Toronto, 3 against Cincy, 3 more against Toronto. And then to conclude, we have 3 against San Diego. I'm curious how you feel here, man, because I like it for the most part, looking at the grand scheme of things. Detroit, that we already know I have 1-1 right there. So Detroit I have as 1-1. Atlanta, I know we kind of shit the bed against them the first time, but we can't go 0-4 against them on the year. I don't think that we can quite possibly lose to that team 4 times in a row. I'm hoping that we can run into like one of their weaker 4-5 back-end starting pitchers that they're throwing out there. They just threw a guy today that didn't even throw an inning this year yet. He kind of got called up to throw. So hopefully we run into one of those really low experienced guys and we can match their thump offensively. But yeah, I'd probably have them splitting in the 2-game series if I could pick right now. And that Chicago White Sox series, that's the opportunity right there. Circle that shit. That's a 4-gamer.
That's a get right series.
You have to win it 3-1. You have to. So I have them obviously 3-1. 4-0 is a bonus, but you have to go get the 3-1. 3 versus Philly, that's tricky. Philly is surprising a lot of teams. They're arguably one of the better teams in the MLB this year currently. We're not getting swept, though. There's no shot. 1-2 there. 3 games against the Yankees. I got them 1-2 against the Yankees there in that first series against them in Boston. I will be going to the Saturday game of that. Then I have them a total record against Toronto 3-3. That seems very realistic and safe, and I really am comfortable with that. The 3 against Cincy, the Reds, I got 2-1. And then the last 3 of June against San Diego, I have them at 2-1, which brings my final record for the Boston Red Sox in June to be 14-12.
Well, my friend, we are going to be relatively close and similar here. I know we've changed some things. I want to preface this by saying these are not our series predictions here. This is like the month look ahead, what could happen. These series predictions are going to change.
They're not
series
locked in
by series. Like,
yeah, they're not locked in.
Absolutely not locked in, especially when you go to look at the pitching matchups and stuff like that. However, mine on the flip side here, Detroit, we're going to lose the last 2, so the recent Casey Mize start. Atlanta, I think we're going to get swept. I know the offense is slumping this year, but we just proved against good teams we're not good. So
coming out hot, buddy.
Swept in a 2-game series, so now we're 0-4 to start.
Super optimistic.
I am with you. We are going to go 3-4 against the White Sox. We are going to get our shit right.
So now we're 4-4. Yes, because you went 0-4. Oh no, 3-5. 3-5.
3-5. You're right. Sorry, I'm terrible at math here. Philadelphia, I think we take 1 out of 3 if we're lucky. Again, just a really good team. Teams against 500, we don't play well against.
4-7.
New York, I think we get swept.
4-10. Great.
They're just too fucking good, especially at home. We suck at home.
Similar.
Toronto, I think we're going to sweep Toronto that first series.
3-0.
Yep.
Okay.
I think we're going to go 3-0.
7-10.
They've been bad. I can just picture, like, again, usually after we get swept or something bad happens, something good tends to happen. Then we're going to carry that momentum against Cincinnati, who has been struggling offensive all year. They do have a decent pitching staff. It's just their offense hasn't clicked the way we'd want. Spencer Steer has been struggling this year. CSE, Christian Encarnacion, CES, Christian Encarnacion Strand on the IL. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz, obviously excited to see him, but Jaimer Candelario hasn't been great. So I think we take 2 out of 3 against them. And then we go Toronto again. I think we're just riding high, and we go 2 out of 3. So we're going to take 5 games out of those 6 against them. And then we go to play San Diego. It'll be nice to see Xander again. Hopefully he's back. I don't know if he will be because he's on the IL right now, but I think we take 1 out of 3 from them. And that brings me to a crisp. And this isn't even safe. I just think this is probabilities and logistics, a 13-13 record for the month. 500 baseball, baby.
That is so on brand for your takes and predictions. On this episode specifically. Your 500 Boston Red Sox. Ladies and gentlemen, you're just sticking to it. They're the mess Sox. That's all they are.
It truly, like, it kind of hit me last episode when we talked about it, and then I'm watching this series, and I'm just a 500 Red Sox guy now. I think I've come to that conclusion. You know, we're going to win somewhere between 79 and 83 games and hover around that 500 all season, unless somehow, some crazy way, which again brings me back to the Bill James tweet where, like, maybe we run a couple wins off. Like, maybe something in here changes a little bit. Like, maybe we sweep the Yankees some way, somehow. Like, maybe there's some fire there. Because who knows? Like I said, I think that rivalry is going to come back to a certain extent, but they're really good right now. We're really bad. Verdugo's on that team. They have the perfect enemy in Juan Soto. And keep in mind, that's where this rivalry started. The Yankees just won for so long. The Red Sox would find ways to lose and all this stuff. It's just, I can see it going either way. We're getting swept because the Yankees are just flat out better than us. Or on a flip side, who knows? Maybe we sweep them and we come out and say, fuck you. You guys think you're good? We'll see you in the ALDS.
I'm not even scared of the Yankees here, man. The teams that I'm scared of in June, I'm not, man. I'm really not. Truly, I'm not. I'm not scared of that pitching staff. I'm not.
I'm scared of the offense and
I
where our pitching staff is.
I'm all set, man. I'm good. Like Aaron Judge, bring him on. I'm chilling. Juan Soto. Psh, let me introduce you to Tanner Houck, my friend. Okay? Let me just introduce you to our buddy. He's going to put you in a blender all day. You haven't seen nothing like that. Who the fuck else? Anthony Volpe. I mean, going in today, he had like a freaking 20-game hit streak going. I don't know if that's still standing, but you don't scare me, little boy. No shot. No. We're going to put you in a blender all day either. Philly scares me a little bit. And Atlanta, that's it, dude. Like all these others, I expect to win the series. You can't expect sweeps because we've only done it 2 times this year. So there's going to be a lot of series wins, but it's not going to be like dominant fashion shit. It's going to be the continuous Red Sox stuff that we've been seeing. Wins by 1-3 late in the game. Going to scrap and claw, itching every inch that we need to scrap out wins. And our losses are going to be a couple devastating ones that are going to be by 1-3 runs late in a game as well. But I do truly think that the wave is going to crash here, and the tables are going to turn. And those games that the Red Sox have been losing more often than not and getting the bad end of the coin flip, this is where the coin's going to flip the other way and the trend's going to start to switch, and the Red Sox win those games more often than they're going to lose. I think this is the get right month right now. It has to be the get right month right now.
I was to say exactly
if
that.
you
It has
want
to be.
ownership to do anything to help bring reserves, bring in some more misfits, you gotta do something here because you can't just show a small sample in July. And what you did in April is not going to cut it in the general managers and ownership's eyes to be able to supplement and produce a little bit more cooking in the kitchen come the trade deadline and all-star break time. We'll see if the Red Sox can do something in June. They know the opportunity that's in front of them. Alex Cora is one of the best, if not the best, leaders in baseball. We have the right puzzle pieces here. It's just a matter of putting them in the right spot. It's going to be a stressful month, but I really think that they can come out at your floor of a 13-13 record, or go to mine and be 1 above, 2 above, 14-12, or go even better and go do something really cool. Because we had our similarities here. We, outside of San Diego, New York, for like the ones that I thought were going to be not terrible, you had both of those being flip-flopped of mine. You had a sweep for the Yankees, and you had losing 1 of 3 to San Diego. I had the 2-1 San Diego, 1-2 against New York. If you flip-flop those both into wins and surprise people, you split Atlanta, you end up winning that Phillies series somehow, and everything else ends up being series wins there. That's like a 17-8,
Which, if that
or
happens,
an 18-8.
if that happens and it's what my previous month prediction was, I'm going to be balls to the wall happy, because I will tell you right now, not to jump ahead on the season here, but keep in mind, Cassis is supposed to come off the IL at one point in June. I think it's like June 21st,
Yes,
or something like that. If he's fully
mid to
healthy
end of
and
June.
stuff like that, like he's doing a rehab assignment before he gets activated and all that stuff,
Fantastic.
we might have something there. A. B, you had mentioned, like, if we want to show ownership at all, that like we deserve some reinforcements or something here, or trade away a Tyler O'Neill but still get maybe a good decent piece back that can still help us, trade away a Kenley Jansen, because to be honest with you, we don't even really fucking need him. Trade him away, put like a Justin Slayton in there. But I do have to believe that Craig Breslow, I think, is going to have the nuts to make the trade that Chaim Bloom never did. So if this team this month, like you said, this has to be a good month, because if it is, ownership, I think, is going to back it a little bit, where we're not going to go, make a trade for a $40 million guy and eat that payroll, whatever it is.
No.
But we are going to I think he's going to make smart trades that are going to either reinforce the staff, reinforce maybe second base where we're struggling a little bit offensively, reinforce maybe first base if Tristan Castle,
Yeah.
whatever it may
Yep.
be. Like, I think Craig Breslow is going to surprise you and make that trade that no one saw coming, whether it's also trading away one of the big three, maybe, to go get that piece to help push us over the edge. It all depends on where we are in the standings. I don't think we'll catch up to a New York or Baltimore by the end of this month, but I think we could still put ourselves within a hunt for the wild card spot. And if they truly care, Craig Breslow is going to lay his dick out and say, I'm a Harvard fucking grad, assholes. Watch me cook. Yeah,
With a 500, I'm pretty sure Brown. No, he went to Yale.
Yes.
Confirmed Yale. With a 28-28 500 record, the Red Sox are only 2.5 out of the wild card right now. If they can figure this out, they only have the Minnesota Twins, the Kansas City Royals, and the Baltimore Orioles ahead of them in this wild card standings right now. Okay? The people that are in the fringe with them are the Tigers and the Rays, the Rangers, and the Blue Jays. Those guys are all 1.5 or less games behind them.
And they're
right
all
now.
beatable.
Very beatable, besides the Orioles, honestly, because we just got our shit pumped. Okay?
Well, yeah.
Those other teams ahead of us, the Twins and the Royals, they are very likely not to sustain what they're doing right now. Okay? Like, the Royals are very similar to the Red Sox pitching staff. They started balls to the wall starters-wise. Cole Reagan's having a year, man. Seth Lugo has been doing a great job, and their bullpen has been doing a great job as well. They bought a lot in this offseason and invested a lot in their team. Their offense is young, and they want a lot. They have a lot to prove. I don't know if they're going to sustain what they're doing throughout the year. Bobby Witt will, sure, but the rest of the guys and supporting cast role players, that's a big question mark. So I don't know if they're going to stay 35-22 is .614 win percentage for very long. And the Minnesota Twins, the only thing that they have is, like, they're playing the White Sox a lot. Okay? So, like, that concerns me a little bit because they get some freebie wins handed to them quite often there. But still, like, I can't see them sustaining that third wild card spot for very long. And the Guardians are kind of running away with that division right now. They're 37-19 compared to the Twins 30-25. So, like, that being said, the Red Sox are only 2.5 games out of the wild card. If they finish June on a very positive note, 14-12 or better, 13-13 or better, I really think that they're going to be in that third wild card spot. In order for Craig and the rest of the owners in the ownership group to do stuff here, where do you see the Red Sox needing to be in order for them to be like, all right, here we go. You guys deserve it.
I'll tell you in 1 second.
Like, do they got to be a half wild card spot out?
I would say
5 games in.
Again, like, it's very vague, but like in the hunt, like within, I'd probably say a game and a half to 2 games out of that wild, because no matter what, either New York or Baltimore are going to claim that first wild card spot without a doubt in my mind. So that's going to.
And you got to think the Rangers, the Astros got to figure it the fuck out. Like, you can't expect those two to be below. I
have to believe, after watching a lot of these teams play, to your point, that, like, they're all beatable teams. Toronto, beatable team. Tampa Bay, beatable team. The Twins, beatable team. The Tigers, beatable team. The Royals are the ones that concern me more than I think they concern you. Like, if they can sustain all the stuff, but like Kel Garcia has outproduced at third base. They got Bobby Witt, Michael Massey at second base, Nelson Velasquez out there, Vinny P's back, Salvador Perez is still swinging it at an all-star level caliber at catcher. Like,
somehow, some way, man,
it's fucking pretty damn good. They're fast too. They remind me a lot of that 2016 team, outside of the fact that 2015 team, except for the fact that they have a Bobby Wood Jr. They got their guy. The one thing that makes me not nervous for them is, like you said, is a Seth Lugo and a Michael Wacha. How long can guys like those sustain that production? Because like Hunter Renfroe, one of their big offseason signings, has stunk this year for them. So
stunk on ice.
It will be like, they're ones that I think concern me more than they concern you, but I can see where your lack of concern comes from. So either way, I think we will be in the hunt, but I don't know if it goes any farther beyond that unless we get a Tristan Cassis back sooner than the trade deadline. Um, and Tyler O'Neill comes back healthy. Von Grissom starts hitting. Guys like that, like Sedane Rafaela, starts taking a step forward, which we have seen recently. He's been better.
No doubt.
They even talked about it in tonight's broadcast how his hands used to be above his helmet, and him and Devers have lowered their hands, and you're seeing a lot simplified movements. And I'm noticing that a lot with these hitters. Masataka Yoshida was like that before he got injured.
Yep.
But true, you get Masa back. So like anything's fucking possible here. It really is. And that's what's so irritating. It goes back to the Bill James tweet. Anything's fucking possible. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's what really fucking pains me. Because like, if they make a wild card spot, again, we picked the best fucking year to start a Red Sox podcast.
Yes,
if they don't,
we did.
We still picked a good year to start a Red Sox podcast.
Indeed.
Because they stink. But like,
especially
I want
because we were the only psychotic motherfuckers that said the Sox are scrappy, trust and believe in this team. There's something special about them. They're making the playoffs and they're going on a run. We're the only psychotic kids and cats to be able to do that and say that out here. Nobody else was nuts enough to say it. Hey, but guess what? You can't bullshit bullshitters, and the Red Sox aren't going to bullshit us here. They can do something, man, and they have been. They're floating. They're swimming. They ain't sinking yet, despite all the negatives. Despite all the injuries, we're still here. We're 2.5 out. We're 6-4 of our last 10. We got a 4-gamer against the Tigers, who are 27-28 for their last 10. Ugh.
Trotta,
Great
let me ask you
opportunity.
this.
What?
If they sweep the Tigers,
Yeah.
like, I'm blowing the positivity horn, obviously, but like, vibes are obviously going to be high because it's coming off a sweep, but like, are vibes like really high in the sense of like, okay, we actually got something here. Like, this is the start of something fucking good. Like, this is good rolling into then Atlanta, going into Atlanta, who we, got swept by in 2 games. Like, maybe we fucking pull out something there. I don't know. Now I'm starting to talk myself into positivity, Trotta, and it scares me. I don't like this.
We can't get too overwhelmed with that Detroit series. If we go 4-0 though, like that'd be great, because I think it would take a lot of positive vibes into Atlanta. We'd play a very strong and competitive game 1, and we would split that series. Same exact prediction with the Chicago White Sox, 3-1, or they sweep that. God damn, that's 9-1 real fast, or 8-2. God forbid if you lose a game to the Atlanta Braves, or you lose a game to the White Sox. If you go 3-1, 3-1, 1-1. If you go 3-1, 3-1, 1-1, 3-1, 3 plus 3
7
plus 1 is 7-3.
going into Philly,
going into Philly, and then going into that Yankees series, both 3 games. And then you get the coast of the back half of June with Toronto for 6 total games, Cincy for 3, and San Diego for 3. Now,
I'm getting excited again, and I shouldn't.
We're being realistic with our 13-13 and 14-12s, but we're looking into the alternate realities, because they're out there. There's an alternate universe right now where the Red Sox at the end of June completely flipped the script and are 20-6 in the month of June and shock the baseball world, or in the talk of the town, and are all of a sudden in conversations of trading for some big time market guys like Logan Gilbert or George Kirby, because the Mariners aren't very successful this year and they're second guessing how much they were asking for those two at the spring training time and before that in the off season. I don't want to jump ahead too much right now, but like, there's a really cool opportunity here in June for them to do it. Yeah, I know. There's some cool shit that they can do here in June, and I really hope they seize what they got in front of them, because, God, they need the help long term. They can't do this for 162. They can't get healthy, prove that we can win with this ball club that you currently have, and then ownership will get the reserves ready for us. I really have a feeling with that with Craig. I'm so on board with you that he's already being proactive here and trying his best to figure out ways that can limit the payroll but still maximize success in the ceiling of this ball team for the second half of the year. And he's going to cook some very underrated deals like he did with the Cooper Criswell signing and not doing jack shit with Jordan Montgomery, which leads me into my closing thought here. So Cooper Criswell, man, we signed him for what, $1.8 million this past offseason? That was like our big signing, yeah, quote unquote, would you say?
Yeah,
Besides
for
Lucas
some reason,
Giolito.
I thought it was like $1 million on the spot, but you could be right.
Probably
No,
one
it
on the
was
dot
it was a
or 1.8.
He's our $1 million baby.
He's literally our
to
$1
the
million
team.
baby. Well, thank God for that Stat Head baseball account that you got, because like I love their player comparison thing. And I was messing around late night when I couldn't sleep in my insomnia attack, and I combined Cooper Criswell and Jordan Montgomery and compared these two in the Stat Head thing. And it's quite interesting. I'll pop it up right here. And you go down the list, and the only two categories that Cooper Criswell is not highlighted in green, and just for you fans here that are uneducated, green means good. They're beating the other guy to the left or right of them in that specific statistical category. The only two that Cooper Criswell is losing to Jordan Montgomery in 2024 are innings pitched, losing 40.1 innings to 38.2 innings. And then the win-loss, Jordan Montgomery's 3-2, Cooper Criswell's 2-2. The rest, heavy Cooper Criswell all day. ERA plus comparison, 106 Cooper Criswell to 86 Jordan Montgomery. Although Cooper Criswell's been struggling lately, 3.96 ERA to the 4.69 of Jordan Montgomery. The walk rate is better. The strikeout percentage is better. Just a financial and tactical masterpiece by Craig Breslow right here. What do you got?
So the thing that I love about like StatHead and stuff like that is exactly this player comparison thing where you can look at two things side by side. And obviously it tells a story, but like we forget about though the fact that Jordan Montgomery wasn't signed until very, very late. What type of impact that has on a guy? Because if you ask me, even now, would I rather Jordan Montgomery or Cooper Criswell? I would still rather Jordan Montgomery.
Yes,
over Cooper Criswell.
Yes.
He's not
Not
a thought
taking
in my
anything
mind.
away from Cooper.
No, I'm not.
Come on.
But he's not even a thought in my mind anymore.
For this year and what the meh sucks are, like realistically, like you said, 79 to 83 wins. That's realistic. We can be realistic, but we're optimists here.
Obviously, they're winning 108.
Yeah, come on. But for what the Red Sox needed this year, they didn't need something to bust the payroll up the wazoo. They needed somebody to eat innings, and that's okay doing any role. That wasn't Jordan Montgomery. That was Cooper $1 million baby Criswell, and he's outperformed what he had expectation-wise. And I hope he continues to do that or meets his expectation, because that he's doing his job for the amount we're paying him, and then he's getting paid probably $8 million next year for some other team or for the Boston Red Sox if we decide to keep him. And I'm pumped for the dude because of what he's done for this team so far.
I mean, let me ask you this. What do you think Coop finishes with, like ERA wise?
Man, tough. I think he
It's
finishes
what
with
would you be happy with?
I would be happy if he finishes with a 500 win-loss record, throws 130 innings, and he has a 4.25 ERA or less. And he sustains his strikeout percentage of 20 to 25%. And he sustains that walk percentage below 6%, which is currently at 5.6. That I will be so pumped with. I'm not looking for a guy, and I'm not even talking about WAR because he only has a 0.1 WAR. Like, I'm not going to expect WAR shit and, like, be one of the best pitchers in the league. No. I'm expecting him to be a league average guy that's going to eat some innings for us in the 4th, 5th spot in the rotation when we desperately need it because Lucas Giolito got fucking destroyed elbow and health-wise here for the year. And who else is going to do this?
And to that point, like, I know ERA is, and you know this just as much as anybody else, that like ERA is not an end-all be-all. Like, it doesn't tell the full story or picture. But like for me, I think on a high side for Cooper, like if he really truly pitches his balls off. Sorry, my dog just jumped in behind me there.
All good.
If he pitches his balls off, like a 3.8 ERA, it
Yeah.
like on a high side for him. To your point, I think neutral, and if he finishes at 4.25 or below, that's a win. Anything above like a like 4.6, 4.65, I think is like it's okay and it's serviceable, but that's where it gets like a little dicey and stuff like that.
Like, come on. We should probably
But-
call somebody up for September to, like, one of our
Yeah,
better pitching prospects.
put
him in the pen.
I could
Yeah.
see that, but I think out of the pen, if he can move into the pen and replace like a Brad Keller and be a 2-3 inning guy out of the pen,
That'd be
that
great.
Man type role.
I'd much
I think
rather
he'll
that
thrive
than
in that.
I'd much rather that than Keller or Chase Anderson here all day. And if
I mean-
Giolito was healthy or Garrett Whitlock, that's what would be
Exactly what
happening,
he's
man.
doing.
That's what sucks about this.
I do wonder the more time that Bailey spends with Brad Keller, because I'm gonna have to look at like what he threw in his first game for the Royals, because obviously he just got signed and then they threw him right out there, and obviously you have an idea of who the pitcher is, but like I'm curious the more that he works with Bailey and stuff like that, if we're gonna see a change in his
Yeah.
usage in pitches, because like I
I
said
have a
last
strong feeling it
podcast,
will.
he was a service like very I don't want to say very good pitcher, but he was a good pitcher from 2018 to 2020. He had 3 good years.
He had 1 year where he had a sub 2.95 ERA,
I think he had a 2.47 ERA.
something crazy like that, and he had a above 500 win percentage. He was a dude that year in but 1 year, and then since then it's been well above 4.25, 4.3 ERAs, and
So-
no health.
I am curious if they try to stretch him out maybe a little bit, like let him go those 4 innings and like try to stretch him out and maybe replace, like flip him and Criswell if it makes sense. But I don't know. We'll see. Good closing thought right there. I like that.
Big time. Thank you.
My closing thought has to do with baseball, but nothing really crazy. I just want to shout out the fact that, what was it, episode 2, 3, that you had talked about the booby conspiracy with the celebration that they're grabbing boobies. Okay.
Yeah.
You made that abundantly clear compared to 2018, what they were doing, what they're doing now. They're certain.
We even
type
made
of
a
monster.
video about it.
Whole video about it. All right. We spent probably 20 minutes talking about that on a podcast. And Section 10 comes out on Sunday, whatever it was, after the Brewers series. And Tyler Milliken points out that Rafi Devers, after he gets to third base, is over there. He goes, they're grabbing boobies. And you look in there and he's like, how is nobody else on this? I'm not saying we were on it first. I don't care about that. But I just want to say we are with you, Section 10 boys, that we believe that they are grabbing boobies and have for a very long time.
And we'll let Milliken think that this just started and they're only doing it on triples because he took his shirt off and exposed his nips. We'll let him think that all he wants. But they've been doing this since day one. Singles, doubles, triples, doesn't matter.
Amen. Amen to that. So, your boys over at SoxHub have I shouldn't even say your boys. This was all Trotta's conspiracy. I was like, it's cool. They're going for it. And you're like, nah, they're squeezing some boobies.
They're just being little rascals out there, Just being little rascals.
rascals.
Just squeezing some teeth.
One last question for you here before we.
What do you got?
When it comes to walk-up songs, what do you think goes through a hitter's head or a pitcher's head when they're picking a walkout or walk-up song? Like, is this something that you think is like, let's fucking go? Or they're like, this is calm, cool, collect, gets me in the right mindset? Or is it just individualized on the player?
Depends on the player for sure. Personally speaking, I've used different sort of vibes. Mainly the vibes have been like, let's fucking go, baby. Being a reliever in college, it was my freshman year. I used Thunderstruck. Didn't like that too much. Looking back at it, a little corny, a little cringy. My senior year, my grad year, I used Hair of the Dog by Nazareth. And I loved that. That's like now you're messing with a son of a bitch. No. You know that one? I use that because of my father. He grew me up on that song. There's a cool little story where My father got kicked out of his senior night lacrosse game in high school.
Neil?
They had walkouts that they got to choose from walking out for their high school lacrosse games up there in Fishkill, New York.
I always knew he was
And
a lacrosse guy.
yeah, he was a long pole defenseman, freaking savage, man. You'll have to ask him some good lacrosse stories. He's got a bunch of them, but yeah, each senior got to pick a song, and my dad picked "Hair of the Dog" by Nazareth, and it got shut down before they could walk out. Before senior night even happened, like, you're not allowed to play it. It says "son of a bitch." We're a family school here. Come on, don't do it, Neil. My dad's buddy was the one on the mic and intercom system for the music. Hey,
It played.
yeah, you're playing that. Here, play it. My dad got suspended, kicked out of the game, couldn't play or anything like that for senior night. And I did it a little ode to him. And shout out to Coach Doolin for allowing that, because most of the other songs were clean versions. There's no clean version of that song, and the word bitch is not bleeped out, and it says it about 75 times. But yeah, that got me going, but on a different level. The other 2 years, the sandwich years in between, were what I would say personally were like my better years, and where I got a lot more mental approachy than like face melting shit. And I used more of a like, what's going to calm me out, put me in a good rhythm, put me in a good positive mood and self-talk sort of move. And there was 2 songs that were my all-time favorite for this. And it came from a pitching lesson. When I was like 14, 15 years old, when I always struggled. And one of my lesson guys just put on some like reggae music. And it started out with some Bob Marley, and then it got into like a little bit of Eddie Grant. And if you're familiar with Part of My Take, their intro song, Electric Avenue, is the specific song. It's in Pineapple Express as well. Go down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. That one was my walkout, and that was my all-time favorite one. That would just calm me down, but put me in like a good, like confident, like swaggy mood, like with a little bit of bop. And then the next one was a song by a band called Air. That's very laid back, and it was called Island, which was a very similar vibe for me on my selection mentally to calm me down, put me in that like swaggy bop sort of vibe. For this, it's case by case, and I feel like depending on the person, it doesn't really matter what the walkout song is as long as it's helping the player. When you get to the MLB, it gets a little different because you need to pick a song that is not only helping you, but the fans can vibe to a little bit and the crowd can get into. Because when you're at Fenway, man, and the crowd can get into a walkout song like freaking Shane Victorino to Bob Marley, man, like that was just a hit. Or when Justin Turner was coming up to the plate last year, and his walkout would come out. Jaron Duran's this year, I'm a big fan of, and gets me going. I'm sure it gets Jaron Duran going too. That's why he picked it. It's just very different in the league because you got to think of not only yourself, but what the fans are thinking of. There's got to be that little fan element. Like, are the fans going to fuck with this? Or are they going to think I'm mid because I picked this booty ass song that I only like? Like, that's got to poke into their heads a little bit. But yeah, definitely case by case. Definitely.
Take a deep breath there. First off,
how about yourself? What do you think?
I would love to go get a beer with you and Neil one day and just hear what Neil has to say, because I've only ever interacted with him like through Twitter or anything like that. He just seems like
Neil is one of the, if not the best storytellers of all time. I can't even put words to it. He just makes you feel like you were there. The imagery, it's no question why he is a 3-degreed man who molds the minds of doctorate degree, master's degree level human beings. The guy is a stud.
We need to get Neil on the pod one day, I think.
Oh, that would be great. He would love it. He'd be a vibe and a half. He would fit right on into.
That's what I'm saying. I think Neil would provide some really good insight here. And like you said, probably
when we get Dallas Braden on this bitch, that would be the most opportunistic time probably to get Neil onto this too.
That would be electric. The four of us just, that's getting me more excited than the Sox going fucking 20-6 in June.
You have no idea that would blow up the internet. I don't even know what Neil would do. Oh God, him in Dallas, the vibe energy there would just break
We might
microphones and break webcams.
we might not even be talking that whole pod if that's the
No,
case.
we
Like,
wouldn't.
it might just be them two, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
Just let them sound off. Go for it.
Amen.
Those two, characters, cartoons, but we love them. They're the best.
Sure do. But you got anything else?
Ladies and gentlemen, your meh socks are going to be 20-6 at the end of June. Hold on tight. It's going to be a wild ride. Nah. Probably 13-13 or 14-12. We're excited. Go Red Sox. Go beat up on these Tigres. A sweep would be cool, but at minimum, we need to go win 3 out of 4. Go get it done.
You heard it here. Trotta says get it done. You get it done. With that, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening after the Tiger series.
Godspeed.
Smooches.